As a trainer, how quickly do you know when a young person is in your ring that they can be a worker or a wrestler?
You don't. You don't. That too. That's a crock of shit. The training thing is just what a goofy ass fucking concept that has become.
What aspect of it?
The entire fucked up situation. Wrestlers are whores by nature, and we have literally whored ourselves out to the point of extinction. We have, when I broke into the business, it was, and people think that I'm joking when I say this, but it was easier to become a made man in the mafia than it was to get in the wrestling business. The reason why was because the guys, the men that were in it, protected it so, and that's what protect the business is, you dipshits. It isn't protect the business like people don't know it, so they don't know it's fake, retards. People always knew it was fake. Protect the business was to not allow anybody in it, because these guys have been doing it for literally 20, 30, 40 years, and that's all they did. They didn't paint houses on the side. They didn't mow lawns. They wrestled 7 days a week. That's how they fed their family. So they did absolutely everything they could do to protect the illusion as much as possible. So all it took, they knew, was to take one person and put them in that in anywhere on the card, and the illusion could possibly crumble because of that one person. So they kept everybody and anybody out of it as much as they possibly could. And then the advent of wrestling schools came along, and you know, you can trace this literally back. And if you don't believe me, I mean, if anybody wants to contradict me, you can all trace it all back to Larry Sharp. Larry Sharp had the Monster Factory. It was like really one of the wrestling schools. Because before that, a wrestler would take you in and train you. Usually they just took you to the YMCA or someplace that had some mats. And, you know, and they'd start teaching you the rudimentary things. And then where you really learned was you went in the ring. And you didn't, you know, like guys don't even have a match. I got a finish. You don't know what a fucking finish is. And people don't know what a finish is. They think they know what a finish is. They don't know what a finish is. It's not just one move you hit, you idiots. I can go into that discussion too if you want. I'll be more than happy to. He's over there going like this. I'll be glad to tell you what a fucking finish is. I'm smarting everybody up, but because of course you all think you're smart, but you're not. Which I love the fact that, don't even get me started about the oxymoronic term of the fucking smart mark. That's even more retarded. But back to my original point, was that you had wrestling schools. Well, you know, Larry Sharp was like the very first one, so it was a gimmick, and and being in close proximation, location-wise to New York, he was a media darling. So he got tons of publicity. He was very successful, made a ton of money, and you know, whores that we are. Ooh, well, he laid down and did this. Well, I can too. Well, then a bunch of other wrestlers that had genuine understanding and experience open up schools, you know, and started training guys, which that was fine, you know, because they still would be selective, and they would, but then of course you get the guy that got trained. He had maybe 5 or 6 years worth of experience. He now goes and gets his, you know, ring in a school. And then it just kept going to the point where now you literally have guy A, train a guy, he doesn't have, you know, a clue. In a room full of lights, they're all shut off. And now he's just churning them out. And then a guy that's been with him for 2 months now goes, well, I'm going to get a building, get a ring, get a school. He's going to start training guys. And as a result, you know, it's the blind leading the blinder, it's just the degradation of the business. And that's what's brought us to this point as far as that's concerned.
What was Tough Enough in the wrestling world, in the realm? When you look back at your career what was it?
Tough Enough was an infomercial for the business. It was a great forum to grow the audience. It was a great tool to scout talent, and it was a great way to build possible stars and to give them exposure before they ever stepped in the ring. It was a great way to introduce the wrestling business to people that had no affiliation or interest in watching it, and then possibly get them caught up with the characters that were on the show to then care enough to now go and watch wrestling and follow that character in their development. It was all those things. It was a very positive thing for the wrestling business. Unfortunately, there were those that were in the wrestling business that, of course, as usual, were eaten up with jealousy, and did everything they could to cut the legs out from under it because it was so successful. There were people that were in WWE that were upset that that the kids on Tough Enough were now bigger stars than they were because they had far more television and mainstream exposure than anybody on WWE had, and didn't feel that they deserved it because they didn't pay their dues, which is another crock of shit that I would love to address.
Let's come back for another show, maybe.
Yeah, I could go on and on with all the ridiculous ideas and thoughts that people have these days. And then there was everybody within the wrestling business that, of course, the same prevalent idea of, well, of jealousy of, well, why do those guys get, they get a contract? I've been out here busting my ass for X number of years. Fuck off. If you were stupid enough to not at least make an effort to try to go and get on the show, then fuck you, moron.
Were those guys poorly, and girls, poorly received once they got into the Federation because people thought they had taken a shortcut?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah. But tell me one person, if you're honest with yourself, I'll tell you right now, if I'd had that chance 28 years ago, nearly 29 years ago, you tell me what grocery store your wife's coming out of. Make sure it's canned good day so she can't push the cart too fast because it's too heavy, and I'll run that bitch over. I'd have killed to have that chance. Who in their right mind wouldn't? And if you didn't, you're a jackass. I'll tell that to your face. How fucking stupid do you have to be?
Did you have to straighten people out?
Numerous times I've told, but he goes, well, what do you know? Well, you're right. What do I know? I've only been doing this for 29 years for a fucking living. Granted, you can talk about my level of success or whatever, but apparently I must know something if this is the way I've been feeding my family for nearly 30 years.
Point well taken.
I have one thing that a lot of people don't have. I have experience, negative and positive. And that, I think, has allowed me to understand more and view things in a different way because of all the negative experience I have that were my own mistakes. That were my, sure, there were things that were beyond my control, but at the end of the day, I was the one in the ring.
When TNA Creative calls you, what do they want from you?
I'm to go there and to help direct the individual matches that I'm agenting at the time. And help the performers, the wrestlers, we'll have the agent meeting, and then I'll be given the idea of what that piece of the puzzle, in my mind, they need to be, and the story that they're trying to tell with that match or that chapter, and then I'm there to try and help the talent do that. I have my own agenda too, which is to try and help the talent understand what really is fake about wrestling, what they're really trying to work the audience on, and remind them of that.
Explain.